It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater, and welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. For those of you who are just joining me, welcome, and welcome to one of my favorite times of the years. For those of you who say, oh, Ivy loves the holidays. Yes, I do love the holidays. Holidays for me is all about family, about friends, about being with people we love and people that we appreciate spending time with. But for Her Success Story, the holidays are about our nonprofit series. And that is one of my favorite times of the year. We take this time of the year to highlight various different nonprofits around the world. If you ask me, like, why did you choose these nonprofits? I'll say because I threw a huge shout out to the Slater Success and Her Success Story community and say, who do you know that we should be meeting? And that's how this happens. It's always all about relationships. And today I am fortunate to introduce you to somebody who feels like is a neighbor, because you're in Westchester, Jenna, and I'm in New York, which is just like that, within an hour away from each other. And in the Her Success Story community, that's pretty neighborly. Jenna Williams is a chemical engineer turned educator, yoga teacher, and founder of Wonder Village. It's a 501c3, yes, it's a nonprofit, providing enrichment education for experiential learning and community support. And it's Jenna, you founded this in Westchester. I could read on and on about your background, but I'd always sooner talk to you. So welcome to Her Success Story.
Thank you for having me, Ivy. I really appreciate you. And I'm sorry for making my bio so incredibly hard to read.
Just, so everybody knows, I pick a couple of words from the bio, and I figured our listeners can read, if you want to, and you should, all the interesting information. But most importantly, you have dedicated yourself to building an inclusive, community-driven education with a mission to build spaces where families feel seen, supported, and deeply connected. That's important stuff. So thanks for coming on and sharing. My first question, how did this start? Where did this start?
Oh, this story could be long, so grab a cup of tea, but I'll try and keep it pretty short. So for a long time, my whole life, I was good at math. I was good at science. I really excelled in those subjects. So that is the career path I chose, chemical engineering. It fit, it made sense. And then I got into the field and it didn't fit and it didn't make sense anymore. The jobs were great. The work was great. The people were great, but it wasn't me and it didn't feel right. I knew that it wasn't what I was meant to do. I knew that I needed to have a broader connection with community, broader connection with people. What I had gone to school for kept me more behind a computer and more with numbers and things that actually I was good at it, but it didn't fit me. When my mom passed away, it triggered something in me to shift my life. And that moment, when I realized how precious life was, I stopped wasting time and I started to pursue what really made me light up inside, because this is the one life that I have and I don't want to waste it behind a desk feeling like I wasn't achieving anything. And let me tell you, I was working for the Environmental Protection Agency, so I was doing something. I really was.
You were working, you were doing a lot. And I have to say, for myself, it's been those life catalyst moments. This company, Slater Success, was birthed. It was about a year after my dad's passing when I realized that I couldn't dye a printer and I had to do something else. And I didn't know what that was going to look like yet. And then when I built it was my mom who came in and said, you need to change how you're doing business. It doesn't make sense. Pull back and look at your model and, everything And it was like, oh, thanks. I got it now. There's the life catalyst moments that we wake up and we build and do our purpose.
And the other thing is that, so I spent that whole year taking care of her and it was beautiful. And I got to connect with her in ways and give back to her in ways that I am so grateful for. But one of the last things she said to me, which of course I have to follow through with, she said, you're so good at helping people. You need to do something where you can help people. You're too good at it not to. And that stuck with me from the moment that she said it, and I knew that she was right. It felt right. She was right. And so I've been chasing this task of helping people. I taught yoga. I helped a lot of people teaching yoga. I even tried to go to acupuncture school for a little while, but I gave up on that one. And I started teaching and I helped a lot of kids teaching, and I tutor and I helped a lot of kids tutoring. And all of those things were great, but it still didn't feel right until I found my calling here with Wonder Village. And once I began on this path, it just felt like everything was helping me. Everything was pushing me towards this path, and all of the things that I had worked for up until this moment were coming together. So all of my schooling, all of my education, all of my experiences all made me the leader that I am right now. So I don't regret going to school for what I went to school for, and I don't regret any of the jobs that I had or the experiences or the people that I connected with. All of those things brought me to this moment. That is what I could take with me into this next endeavor, which feels so much like what I'm supposed to be doing. I've never felt this before in my life.
So let's go back, because I totally get it, because I feel like had been through that journey myself until, like, oh my God, this makes sense. This is who I am. This is, I always say, this isn't what I studied. This is who I am. This is how much a
Mhm.
part of me. Share a little bit about the starting of Wonder Village and how you went from the path of the background in chemical engineering and STEM, etc., to going through your journey and finding your way to birthing a 501c3, like birthing a nonprofit. It's like, okay.
I was in the workforce for a long time. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, I wasn't going to get the time that I needed to continue on full time when I had her. So I chose to leave teaching. At that moment I was teaching. I chose to leave to stay with her. I tutored my husband as a firefighter. So we took shifts in all different ways. And I taught yoga, we did everything. And so I had two young kids. I had my daughter and then I had my son 2 years after. When I had my son, we were doing great. I was in the nesting phase and everything was wonderful. And right when we were about to emerge back into the world, everything shut down and everything closed and the playgrounds were shut down and the
So
meetups were
this was
shut
the beginning
down.
of COVID.
This was COVID. So that year, everything changed.
Yeah.
And it just made me take a look at the world and see, what did I want to do? Where did I want to go? And I didn't know how things were going to look. I didn't know how education was going to shift. I just knew that at that moment, it wasn't right for me. And I wanted to keep my kids close and figure out what worked best for our family. So I started researching and I started reading, and that's what I do.
There's the
That's what I
scientist in
do.
you. There's the scientist that comes out, because,
Yeah.
and that goes back. I'm going to interrupt you for a second. It goes
Yeah.
back to taking all the skills we've learned over the years and continuing to realize how we continue to use. It's never a waste of time, because we
No.
continue to pick up skills that are just applied forward.
Every path on the journey,
Yeah.
everything you pass is meant to be picked up and then carried along with you, and then sometimes dropped off. But we are in this zigzag pathway for a reason. And if we trust it, we trust the process, we believe that everything we do, every moment that we're in is where we're supposed to be at that moment, it can help us along in the next phase of our life. So I
So,
read, I read
so
my
now we
book.
have COVID. Things are shut down. We're going back to the story. We're figuring this out. Like,
Yeah.
what do we do with these two young kids at home?
What do I do? And my husband was gone all the time. He was working. He was a hero. He was helping everybody, and it was great for the world. But for us, we were alone, and it was just me and the kids. So I started to read. I did my research, and I got something inside of me said, you can do this. You can homeschool. You can live a different life. You can make a different choice. And the only thing I had thought about it before, it was but until that moment when the whole world shifted and I said, wait, I can choose. I don't have to follow. I don't have to go along with everything. And there's nothing wrong with all of the different choices that anybody makes. This is just for me. I knew that wasn't right. That path wasn't right. And then I got the courage to be able to actually make my own. So I had this epiphany that I could do homeschooling. And I said, hey, let's try it. Let's see what we can do. So that
So your
was
kids were how old at this point?
So at that point, my daughter was 3-ish. It was 2.5, and my son was about 6 months old. And then,
Okay.
so they were still young. We weren't quite ready for schooling yet, but I saw that this was a possibility, and I'm a planner. So I'm always planning 5 years in advance.
I'm so with you. Makes me so happy when other people plan.
No, I mean, when people don't have a plan, I'm like, what are you doing? Where's your A, B, C, D, and where's the other backup plans if those don't work? I had so many ideas. So yeah, so I started planning a little bit early. And the other piece of this was that I knew that I wanted more for me also. So it wasn't just that I wanted for my kids, it wasn't just that I wanted to keep them close. It was that I wanted to be mom, but I wanted to be me. And I had to find a way, if I was going to homeschool, I had to find a way to do both at the same time because I didn't have the resources or the help to have my kids with somebody else while I was building a dream for myself. So I found a way to build it with them alongside me.
So you started out homeschooling. So there's one thing to start something. So you started out homeschooling. There's another thing to build a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So as you built the nonprofit, right, which is Wonder Village, what need did you see that the nonprofit, so I'll always say like a business or a nonprofit, because they really are one and the same. It's just like funding goes from business comes in and goes back out in the same direction. For a nonprofit, funding goes in, it usually goes out in a different direction, towards the nonprofit. Right. But they're both business models. What need did you see that was the problem that Wonder Village comes in to the community and helps?
Right. So I started checking into what homeschool programs were out there. I started connecting with local families. I just really dove right in. That's the other piece of me is the moment I decide something, I'm head first going all the way. So once I connected with all of these different groups, and there were groups and they were great and they're beautiful families, what I noticed is that this group was over here in one corner and this other group was over here in this corner, and they didn't cross the 287 line if they were upper Westchester, and they didn't cross over into this other section if they had these beliefs. And it was all of these pockets of people separated, segregated. And
Okay.
yeah, there were beautiful communities, but they were small and they didn't have a connecting piece. They didn't have a place or a group to come together for celebrations, for fun learning experiences, for clubs, for anything outside of their individual family interests and family beliefs. And for
Okay.
me, personally, I knew that I wanted my kids to obviously be with like minded people like us, but I also feel like community is bigger than that and that they needed to be around people beyond my circle, people beyond just my personal reach, so that they can gather all the different information. They can meet people from different areas. They can understand what life is like all over the county, all over the tri-state area. We travel a lot. It's important for that. And so I knew that if I had that desire, there had to be other people out there too that needed it. So I created Wonder Village.
Tell us a little bit what Wonder Village does for the village or the community. Because so now you have, to my knowledge, a community of parents who are homeschooling.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we always, there's assumptions, and let's call a spade, oh, these kids are home alone all day, right? Or home with the same parent all the time.
Locked in the basement, underground, not allowed to see anybody.
Let's discuss the real stuff going on.
Yeah. So what's funny too is that anyone who knows me and knows that I homeschool, they'll tell me no matter what, they'll say, "Oh, but what about socialization? Not everyone's like you, Jenna." And I'm like, "Well, there are more people like me. It's okay." But yeah, we are not locked in the basement at all. We're actually, homeschooling is a word that is very, very different than what we do. Home is a lovely place, but we're not there that much. So what we do is we offer with Wonder Village, and now we'll talk about where it started and how it got there. But where we are right now, we have co-op programs where parents and educators take turns leading different programs, and we'll do art classes and science classes and history classes, all sorts of things. This last season, we focused on the continents of North and South America, and we covered all different subjects within that framework. We'll do another one this next session coming up. We'll do Europe and Asia. We kind of travel all over the place. The co-op is meant to be an enrichment program in addition to what you're doing at home. So the homeschooling methodology, or just the reason why most of us homeschool is so that we can have that one-on-one time with our kids and we can follow what works best for them. So a lot of times our parents will be doing their core subjects and their core learning separately at home with their children. And then they come to us for the fun, for the excitement, for the group activities that help foster learning and curiosity. We offer that. So we have our co-op programs, we have our enrichment programs for reading and math and
Nice.
science. We have clubs where we have one of our scouting clubs, which is one of our most popular programs. Think Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, but instead of separating age and separating gender, we're all together. So it's a family scouting
Oh, how
program.
nice.
We earn lots of badges. And then we do community events. So we offer holiday events. We offer a moving up ceremony at the end of the year where it's kind of like a
Oh.
graduation. We do a not back to school luau, which is one of my favorites. We
I think I want
have
to go to that.
You can come. Everyone is welcome to join us. We do holidays, we do different Earth Day, we do all pep rally, we do all sorts of different things that you would expect from a school environment, but this is the Westchester homeschool community instead because we don't have access to that programming since we're not in school.
So, in essence, the idea that you're homeschooling in the kitchen table or the basement and the kids are not interacting is not true. There's a lot of opportunity. Let me ask you this, Jenna. What have you learned as far as running a nonprofit? Because there's the idea of like, okay, I'm going to homeschool my kids. And there's the idea of like, oh, I think I'll build a nonprofit from the experience.
I am just like guacamole, just always extra. I can't help myself. This is me. But yeah, so the difference is I didn't want to wait for someone else to do it. So I decided to do it myself and I started small. I started with my kids, a couple of our friends in my backyard. I had zero resources. We didn't have any funding. We just had a space and we started off. We charged as little as we could so that we could cover supplies and just the general things that we needed. And then we kept moving from there. So we started off with 12 kids in my backyard with our co-op program. And then the next season we had double that. And then by the next
Wow.
season, we had double that. And we had our scouting program. So we started to add, and every season we have almost doubled, which is kind of amazing. And it shows that the need that I saw for me wasn't just for me.
It was not just for you. It was a need for the community. How do you get word out?
So
How does
I
it
did.
build? How does it multiply?
I've been networking since the moment I
Oh, you mean
decided.
nonprofits work in networking too?
We do. So I made sure to find all of the local groups that we could online because that's super easy. You connect with the people online, you share your story. I also am big on supporting everyone else. So one of the things that I do is if I see a local mom setting something up and it works in our schedule, I'll jump in and I'll join. That's a big piece of what I do. And sometimes people follow me there too, which is nice because they will come and they'll join and we'll have all sorts of different experiences offered by everyone. So that's one of the things that I do for sure is I'm very, very highly involved in the community. I make as many connections as I can. I also just really like it. I love meeting new people. I love hearing their story. I love it. I love that connection. So it's not work for me to do that. So it's naturally for me to go into a room and find somebody to learn something new about, and that has really helped me along the way. The other piece that's really big, I think, for at least my experience, was flexibility. So I had these ideas, I had these plans, and then I had to see what was going to actually work and what people wanted, what space we could use, what direction we could go. And I had to be able to, each time I developed the next phase, shift wherever I was able to. And that I think is what helped me continue to grow because I was able to pivot whenever I needed to and then rebuild and restart. And over that process, it allowed me to access more people, access more relationships, more just connections within the community. And I think that's a big piece of why we have been successful.
So it's not that you're an introvert, so to speak, or it's not, Right. No, it's not that you're like, we're going to stay home and quiet. It's you are 100% out there connecting and being involved in the community and doing a ton of things.
Yeah.
And that's what helps. I know you do everything from outdoor programs to everything else. Is there something that surprised you in this build, in this development of the organization?
Something that surprised me. I think so much about everything, so surprising me is hard. But I do think that our scouting program, which I knew would be fun, I didn't realize how much learning was going to happen. So when I set it up, it was meant to be this group that got together and we hiked and we learned different silly things that the kids wanted to learn. And what ended up happening is the kids actually chose their own topics, and the things that they chose were really in depth. We did anatomy for one of our badges this season,
Wow.
chosen by the group of kids, and they loved it. And so what we did was we shifted. A lot of what we do is experiential learning and projects. So what it allows is it puts the learning back into the hands of the kids, and they're less listening, more doing. So what we have mainly in that program is project-based learning, and they present their own projects to their peers. And so we did this amazing one where it was every group had a different part of the anatomy, and then they led the rest of the kids in activities. So we had things like a digestive chain where they were actually going through an obstacle course pretending to be stomach fluid the intestines, and it was amazing. They made lungs, and they sang songs, and just so many things that they brought to the table. So I think part of it too is just being amazed by all of the skills and the talents and the intelligence coming from the community and coming together every time I ask them. So every time I ask for something, everyone shows up in ways that are always amazing. And I shouldn't be surprised, but it's still
Yeah,
amazing me every
yeah,
time.
I get that. I get that. What's next for
What's
Wonder
next?
Village? I know
Okay, so that's a
that's always a
really
big
good
question.
question. So this whole season, so this entire fall, I have been telling everyone, I tear up every time we meet together, and I get this feeling inside because what I have right now is what I thought of 3.5 years ago before we
Wow.
started. And so all of the things that I could have possibly imagined have come to fruition in this season, which just means new dreams, new goals, right? One of the things that has is just out of our reach but not too far anymore is having our own space so that we can have our own center to run all the programs that we want. Right now we have these beautiful relationships with so many places in the area, and we're able to run programs and we're all over the place, but a home base would be really nice for everyone. And it could also allow us to have more programming. We can have more control over what we do, how we utilize the space, and we can add more, not just for homeschoolers, because the other piece of my vision was to move beyond just homeschooling families, but also for after school and weekends and anybody who is looking for the type of experiential learning that we had to offer. So I want to be able to
So it's
expand
open
to
to the
everyone.
entire community, to be open to the entire community to experience and embrace experiential learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
And
that's
also
a
bring
pretty damn
families
good vision
together.
for what's next.
I have a vision. It's also the other piece too is that family piece. So as homeschoolers, we get to spend a lot of time as family, which is one of the most beautiful things ever. And I look at my kids because sometimes I'm not leading all the classes. It's not me only. There's so many people that are a part of this. And I will look at their faces when they learn something new or they get something right or they raise their hand, and I get to witness that. And I don't know how many parents get to see it. And I think that what I would be bringing into this location, if we were to have it, would be more family programs where you would get that opportunity, where it wouldn't just be you ask them after they were done, how did it go? What did you learn? Where you could actually be a part of it and see what they did and how they learned it. Because when those light bulb moments go off, oh, it's gold.
Oh, to
It's
see
gold.
that in a child, to see when those things connect in our children and the young people of the world and their ahas, because they show it, we as adults were like, oh, what's your aha? What's your takeaway? And we put it in words, but you see it in their face when it connects and you see it light up in their eyes. And that's such a gift.
It truly is. There's something I'm eternally grateful for all the moments that I have gotten back with my children from making this choice. So I
Well,
know not everyone can make it, So that's why I think that expanding it beyond just the community that we have could be really special, because I know there are so many people out there that would love to have those moments, and there just might not be an option for them for homeschooling. But there's no reason we can't do it on the weekends or after school or whenever you get a pocket where you can be together and connect.
So get it. Well, Jenna Williams, thank you for the work you do in the community for bringing families together. And I know that's the big piece of this mission. And thinking about experiential learning differently, uniquely, and how it meets the world today is absolutely. Thank you for coming on Her Success Story and sharing Wonder Village with our community.
Thank you for having me. This has been such an honor, and I am truly, truly grateful for this experience and this connection with you. Appreciate it.
And listeners, this is what I say at this point in the show. Take a deep breath because it just feels so good.
Sure
And
does.
think about one thing, one takeaway, one aha. What was it that you took away from the conversation that Jenna and I had? Write it down, make a note of it somewhere, and then make a decision of the one action you're going to take forward. Our commitment is the regular listeners at Her Success Story. Every week you show up, every week you have something to take away and implement. You will be in steady motion forward 52 weeks a year. Also, this is the first year we're doing things this way on the nonprofit series. Nonprofits always need funding. And we're asking the Her Success Story community if you can give $10 to every nonprofit in our community. It's less than a dinner out. By doing that, we can make an impact as a community moving forward. So I encourage you to check out the entire nonprofit series. Give as you can when you can. Okay. And just know that as we give and share forward, there is a ripple impact for our entire world coming from a good place and a good heart. Jenna, thank you so much for joining us here today. I so appreciate you sharing your story and Wonder Village.
Thank you, Ivy.
Listeners, see you next time, and thank you for joining. You'll enjoy this. Share it forward. You hear other people who are building communities that are people are homeschooling. Share it forward. Let's connect people. Jenna said a beautiful thing about networking. Let's continue to network together. See you next time.